When you're dealing with a complex mythology, from the very beginning you have to have stories and episodes which bring out the tension and the drama of trying to maintain the masquerade. And particularly from Julian's perspective, he's trying to, his people, the survival of the Kindred in his city are dependent on that. We loved sending up popular notions of vampires. And one of the ways we did that was Kindred never refer themselves as vampires. They never use that word. That's a human word invented by them, by humans. And so they refer to themselves as Kindred.
We call ourselves Kindred. Vampire is a word humans invented. They needed a name for their fears in the night.
But if you don't kill people to drink blood, then why should we fear you?
Because we're living proof that the monster is in you. We come from you humans, but we live without your boundaries. We have to survive.
It's a brotherhood, because obviously, because they can't have children, to further their clans, they have to embrace, bring into humans. And almost invariably, it's when a human wants that to happen. It is against the rules of the masquerade to forcibly embrace humans.
What is it?
Sonny just called. There's a girl at the hospital. Someone embraced her against her will.
Do you know who did it?
No.
I'll find her and bring it to me.
In our show, that was kind of a metaphor for violence and rape. And it was something to be, that the dues for such an act would likely be death.
Sasha! Open up!
I suppose that Bram Stoker either was Kindred or paid by the Kindred to make up all these silly stories. You know, that vampires come from Transylvania, you know, and lie in coffins, and, you know, garlic, and all that nonsense. The Kindred finds that hysterically funny that they had pulled that off. So naturally, if someone's out in the sun with you at a cafe, they couldn't possibly be a vampire. But in our world, one of the rules is if the Kindred have had fed on blood of humans, they have the strength to endure the sun to some extent. So just culturally, in terms of society, you dropped in all of these Anne Rice novels. I mean, all of it is just all part of the masquerade to keep humans faked out by the real thing.
This is not a game. Our clan survives by the masquerade. We are protected by our ability to move among humans. You keep this up and you will destroy us.
My manager, Lily, not my mother.
How many girls have you embraced?
I gave him a gift. The same gift you gave me, freedom.
They didn't ask for it, Zane.
They begged for it.
As an actress, you're looking at the script, the role, where is it going, what do I get to do in my next episode? It flowed beautifully. Again, I loved that it was like almost like a little mafia, you know, a little mafia group with vampires, which, you know, was perfect.
Our laws were created to protect the masquerade. We do not bend the rules for heroes and legends.
Or even loved ones.
It was fascinating to think about a character who had already been alive for 3,000 years. You know, just to imagine what a life like that would be. You know, we all want to live longer, but what are you going to do if you live longer? And so just talking to John and finding out what this creature's life would be, and seeing what kind of truly spiritual growth a character like this would go through over that expanse of time, you know. So just on the mundane level, I thought, well, he must have some hobbies. So I made him a painter and a cello player. That gave lots of ideas to the writers. And then And then spiritually, he was the one who had conquered his animal instincts. Interestingly enough, because the Nosferatu are they are the most powerful, they are the most treacherous, and yet he was the voice of gentleness. You embody a character, and then the writers start to write for that character as embodied by you, rather than as, there's you, there's the writer, and there's the character over here. They start to write for that character as you. But in this case, for example, the painting, I was not a painter when I decided this character should be a painter, and yet that gave them an idea that I'm hiding this child. That was really a symbiosis of all of us working together to really flesh out the story in a way that it wouldn't have necessarily been. Or let's just say it would have been different with another actor.
One of my kind has done something terrible to you. Something unforgivable.
What's happened to me? I feel cold inside.
That'll go away. The urges, the hunger. You'll get used to them in time.
I don't feel my heart.
It doesn't beat any longer. Unless you feed.
Am I dead?
You're kindred now.
Kindred?
We're a secret and ancient breed set apart from man. We're the other side of life.
I thought that you're supposed to go to heaven when you die.
Well, that part hasn't changed. Only the time frame.
Aaron and Duke were involved a great deal in the initial stages of launching the show, casting the show. Duke was involved in running the concept meeting. When you first sit down, when you first get there as a director, you sit down and you have a concept meeting where you go through the script, every scene of the script with John Leakley and Duke and I, and all the department heads. And you talk about what each scene is about, where it should be shot, what specific things you're going to be looking for. So Duke was very involved in that part of it. And that just sort of sets the tone for what you're going to do when you start shooting the episode. That's day one of prep, 7-day prep. And that sort of sets the tone for what you're going to be doing. So Duke was very involved at that point. Aaron and Duke would look at dailies, as would John. And if they had any thoughts, they would call with the thoughts. But generally, once you start shooting, they're on to prepping the next show behind you, so their attention is really focused there. I finish shooting, I do my director's cut, and I turn it over. And it now goes to the producers. And then I'll get a phone call from the editor or from the producer saying, saw the cut, loved it, and then the editor usually will tell me what changes they made, or the producer may say, but I'm out of it at that point. The episodic director is out of the loop. It's now turned over to the producer and the showrunner. In this case, John would look at it, get it the way he wants it, then he would show it to Aaron and Duke, make any changes they want, and then it would go through music and effects.
One thing about the vampires that we always thought was kind of cool was, it is almost like a subtle, or maybe not so subtle, suggestion of, sex and love. And I think that was kind of the interesting thing to Spelling, was that he was really trying to find a different way to project the romance into his shows. And it was quite a bit ahead of the time of vampire shows in general. Just, aside from maybe House of Dark Shadows or something like that, this was one of the first, television series starring vampires. And so it was kind of fun to be way ahead of the curve on that, especially considering now, we've done so many vampire shows, from Twilights to True Bloods to, all these. It's kind of fun to be, part of where it began in a way. Some of that stuff, some of the gags, some of the tricks that we did back then, we're still using today on True Blood. The Jeff Koberg character was interesting because we were trying to do a riff on the classic Nosferatu, and Jeff's features were always, so classic, so we didn't really want to overdo that. So we really just made him bald and put these like crazy veins on him, and then give him some fangs, and he pretty much did the rest. We did give him the Nosferatu finger extensions, which kind of gave him that great ability to wrap hands around necks and all that.
The great thing about acting with makeup, there's a freedom that you can take from it, and there's also a context which it gives a performance. So any performance is going to be based upon the needs of that character as lived out through the actor. You're not going to have Nosferatu needs, you're going to have human needs, because I'm a human. So I'm going to have those human needs, but then those needs might be, they're going to be elevated, A, because it's drama, and B, because it's a Nosferatu. So then